The powerful owl. The powerful owl is basically the largest owl in Australia. It's lovable, cute, and pretty damn big, especially for an owl. Actually, it's probably one of the largest hawk owls in the world, actually. Now, it's part of the hawk owl family, meaning, or Nix, Noxus, whatever, however you pronounce it. Still can't pronounce it, but whatever. We gloss over that. We're just going to call them hawk owls, because that's basically the easier name than the science name. Damn you, science. Anyway, it's basically a big ball of fluff that is generally not the most dominant. It's pretty good at hunting. Well, not the best hunter, but we will get to that owl later on. Anyway, this owl has gone from 45 to 65 centimeters. Think about that. Bigger than a 60 centimeter ruler, and it's basically by default the largest recorded owl in Australia, and basically is the largest owl in Australia. Usually they go from in the 50s range, with some can just shoot up and basically tower over every single owl, or basically half of Australia's animals. We've got some pretty big animals in Australia, let me tell you. Anyway, as you can see, this owl is grey with white spots and white patches on its chest and stuff, and it's very grey, and sort of like the typical grey generic owl for some reason. They're very good camouflage. Its wingspan is 381 to 427 millimeters, or meters, or whatever the hell is the double M. Anyway, it's a big wingspan. And surprisingly enough, males are larger than and heavier than the females. So instead of the females being larger than the males are like larger than the females. Don't know why, but I guess that's nature for you. So they mate for life, pretty much together the whole growth year, and basically do half a dozen eggs before they die. So they basically live together ever and forever and forever. They're nocturnal, because they're an owl, and basically almost all of them basically hunt at night, and basically roost by day, and usually they live in pairs or in family groups up to four owls. Basically mainly two powerful owlets. If you don't know what owlets are, it's basically another saying of baby owls. So yeah, owlets. They mainly like open trees in forest or woodlands, so you can just see them basically in the eucalyptus forest or yeah. They usually, well, they often, I should say, roost with prey crotch in between the talons. So yeah, may be easier to approach during the day, depending on what season. If it's a non-breeding season, yeah, you're good. If it is, then yeah, it's not good. And but usually it's very, very aggressive defendants there, so be watchful. And since Paraffin has humongous talons, yeah, they're powerful. It's in its name. So yeah, and if disturbed, they usually just abandon the nest altogether. So be mindful during incubation also. So it goes both ways. Be very, very mindful of this owl. So this owl has like a very loud hoot sound, like a woohoo or woohoo, basically. I I'm gonna basically leave it as an example later on, where you can listen all the owl sounds, but generally speaking, woohoo. So yeah, just imagine that with an owl. So, yeah. The males are slightly deeper than the females, and they also have many other owl sounds, but that's generally their main core. So, yeah, they they hunt from a perch, mainly on slow-moving mammals. Basically, easier prey pretty much. So, which are caught at their roost or their little um, nap time area, I guess. So yeah, I call it nap time because that's what mainly roost when standing up on one spot, and you usually have like naps. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. They just mostly take insects and other animals on the ground, mainly just sit and wait tactic. There's fly, there's on the ground on the roost. They mainly just fuck birds before eating because he doesn't want to eat birds with feathers. Am I right? The larger ones are not eaten until after they're killed. So yeah, they want little um, little taste aging process, I guess. Don't know why. And owls usually just roost with one fruit on the prey, which is weird. But yeah. But it also occurs commonly with the other owl that I'm going to talk about next. Or the two other hawk owls next. the powerful owl breeds during the winter, and basically lay on the same date each year, so must have been, yeah, weirdly, so don't know why, but again, it's the powerful owl's weird shindig things. A lot of eggs are usually laid every second week in May, or second week in May, just one second week in May. I don't know why I said every second, but whatever. To pretty much June, so May and June. Males begin calling in late February, so if you want to hear them call, basically late February and early March. So basically soon, actually. Huh, cool. So hopefully when this comes out, you'll be able to hear the powerful owl, basically calling in February or early March. So if you like owls and or birds, that's a good place to hear some powerful owls. Around this time, the pairs begin to roost closer together. Mainly at first in the same tree and then on the same branch, often still some distance from potential nest sites. You know, gotta have those nests. Anyway, the nest is a large, hollow, nearly always in the trunk or broken off. Look a big eucalyptus tree. And yeah, and basically, yeah. Mainly as low as 6 meters, usually 2 eggs, rarely one. Rarely one. So if you see 2 adults and one owlet, usually that means if it's the owl kills its sibling or basically what humans call miscarriage. I don't know what the problem term, and I'm not going to bother. And usually at 4 days into 4 days, yeah. They basically they're basically dull white, basically all eggs, so I don't know why. Measuring about 49 and 56 millimeters, and yeah, usually that size times 43 and 46 millimeters. Incubating is about 38 days, which once you think about it is a very, very, very long time. With the male rarely visits the nest after laying. So basically, typical normal owl. The female leaves disappointingly, which I'm looking at on this website. I'm just joking. I'm not reading any of websites. I'm just making up as I go along. Not making up. Just how do I put this? Basically, reading facts while making up my own words with this because there's so much information. Anyway, I'm going to head myself. Disappointingly huge in early weeks. Don't know why. They cons they brood constantly by the female until 4 weeks, when she approaches cease brooding by day and her visits become progressively shorter. Now, this is when they at 4 weeks at the hours. The first flight is 7 to 8 weeks old, and for fuck's sake. And yeah, basically, the young remain with their presence for about weeks or months, preferring about 3 months or 2 months, around that general area. Sometimes bring parents in late autumn to, yeah, and this may from breeding season to fall season. Females are shy and may desert the nest, mainly what I said earlier, practically early in the season. Some males, however, may be extremely aggressive in breeding season and attacking humans with ferocious velocity at visible distance from the nest. So they can, yeah, you're basically done for if they sees you as a threat. So be careful with the males, okay? Males are very, very, very aggressive, especially if this owl is basically 65 centimeters coming towards you. Think about that. So they, yeah, typically more open forests in the eucalyptus trees area, forests. So yeah, you find them in large hollow tree eucalyptus. That word is so bloody hard. Trees, you know what I'm talking about. So you can find these owls along are close to and inland Victoria to coastal Queensland. So they basically throughout Victoria to New South Wales to basically near the Rufous owl. Now this is the owl that I was talking about earlier, but didn't want to spoil this owl. So here we go. The Rufous owl is basically brown with cute, lovable. It's mainly brown to blackish with a brown face with bigger eyes. So yeah, brown, a very, very brown with white stripes across his chest, basically. The Rufous owl is an amazing owl. Very, very shy, elusive owl, and it's basically nocturnal, basically blah blah blah, roosts during the day. Sometimes with a pair, but usually just single with basically a tropical tree or just a mature tree with good surroundings, apparently. So yeah, I mean, you gotta have good surroundings because kind of need it. It will defend the nest very, very aggressively. So even despite shy and elusive, it's definitely aggressive. This owl is basically not as big as powerful owl, but pretty big. The smallest recorded is 40, and the largest recorded is 57, and they're usually about 50 to in that category of height. Their wingspan is 260 to 383, so not a bigger wingspan than the great panther, but that's what it takes for being the third or second biggest, depending how. It's usually the second biggest, but we'll get that out to the sec. For some reason, like the powerful males are larger and heavier than the females, which is really, really weird for some reason, because usually it's the females, but don't know why the males chose to be larger and heavier, but you know, that's the two. They basically the unconventional owls in Australian. Now, despite being shy and elusive, they also not very vocal, meaning they're very, very, very hard to listen out for outside the breeding season. Pairs usually are very, very soft spoken to each other with a deep heat, similar to the powerful hour, but just a lot more softer and less. Yeah, basically a lot less firepower than the powerful hour. Females are slightly higher. Occasional a single heat may be used. Maybe. So yeah. For some reason, the female has a shape-like beak core similar to the powerful. So when returning to the nest with food, so basically these two are very, very similar. But here's the icing of the cake. This owl can hunt anything in Australia. Anything. From beetles to flying foxes. That's right. It will literally eat anything. To brush turkeys, the largest species of frogmouse in Australia, the white cockatoo, several species of ducks and herons and all that, and surprisingly crayfish. So it can basically, unlike the powerful, which is mainly hunt slow-moving mammals and take easy prey, this does the opposite. This can go to from anything. It's just amazing now. Like, it doesn't hold back. It basically flies around and then basically spots it and then boom, it's gone. It's dead. Grab it by the neck or depending, or off the carcasses and just bring it home, depending on what's the situation. But by God, even though the panflower is basically largest, this owl is literally unstoppable. And it's very, very aggressive too. So, including in the nest season. So, yeah. So, the breeding season for this owl is very, very weird. Usually in the Northern Territory, from eggs laying from June to September, and in I read that wrong. From June in Northern Territory, and in Northeast Queensland in September. So in September, it's basically, and August, usually about the breeding season starts in the east side of the country. So, yeah. So, and they basically lay as much like the panther on the same date each year. So they pretty much similar in that department. Both birds roost together, often on the same branch after dark. They're basically called with a double hoot, and females often fly to him with excited beta trills, and pairs sit by side, and the male is basically, the typical owls, yeah. So here comes the really, really, really scary part about this owl, if not as scary enough. Both female and male owls will ferociously attack humans aggressively in defense of the nest. It's not about will or may, definitely. So watch out. Stay as basically, I say, about as camera distance goes. Not up close, but basically zoom in and just take it, and just hopefully it doesn't see you as a threat. If it does, just run. I don't think, although they are basically the most silent predators in Australia, but where you can't literally hear them, the flying, so you basically get really, really nasty injuries from there. But that's besides the point. They usually live in large high trunks in trees, or main limb of a big tree, usually living, but sometimes dead, usually both. Nestlings are very, very high, about 30 meters, but sometimes go down than less than 3 meters. So, yeah, that's the male clears behind, and the female's minting enters immediately before laying two, occasionally one, like the paraffin. although it's more regular occurrence in one than the powerful owl, but usually two, usually one. There are 3 days between laying, and basically the same as the powerful owl, except maybe the bigger with 49 to 54 millimeters times 44 to 48 millimeters. So around that general area. They are less than 1 quicker in incubating than the powerful, and usually about in 50 days fledging. So yeah. But the owlets are usually dependent on adults for several months and may extend to the next breeding season. So they last a pretty long time for. You can find these aggressive and fascinating owl in rainforests, other forests, and woodlands. So basically, tropical, normal, yeah, several different forests. So yeah, you can find them, but basically, north, east, in Western Australia, near the Darwin region in Northern Territory, and the tip of Queensland and Cairns and Townsville. So around that general area. So very north owl indeed. And you can find them all over Papua New Guinea and the other side of Papua New Guinea. I think it's Timor, whatever the hell it's called. Don't know why I forgot the other Guinea place, but it's Timor. Yeah. And you can find them also on the Aru Islands. So yeah, very, and it's listed as the least concerned owl. So it's basically, I guess, very popular owl. I don't know. Yeah. The barking owl is a lot smaller than the powerful and the Rufous owl. Generally, the smallest recorded owl or barking owl, is 35 to 45 centimeters. Their wing length is a lot smaller, but still big, averaging between 240 to 325. So marginally smaller than the two big giants. Their length is, a lot smaller. And a lot less heavier too, about 425 to 510 grams. Very light. They, for some reason, the males are generally heavier than the females. Generally. Not all of them, but generally, for some reason. So another third owl, male owls are heavier than the females for some reason. Don't ask why, but ours in Australia, males are generally built different. Don't ask me how, don't ask me why, but these are ours, so they're very, very unique. Nocturnal and roost during the day, but sometimes they also awake, they will hunt, not, during, hunt or calling during the day. And on winter days may begin hunt before sunset. So that's also weird. They are usually found in pairs, and basically like Powerful and Rufous. They roost in isolation standards of tree and open country, often to the same spot for months and years. They also love the water and may bath regularly in every single morning. So early morning. So they love the water. If you find a barking owl in the water, they just having the best time of their life. So they love the water. So I'm gonna leave the owl sounds at the end of the video, but generally they, as barking owl, sounds like they bark like a dog for some reason. Usually, and close quarters from each other, so they like to have fun. They're usually given at dusk and dawn. This may go on for several minutes and do not call for long periods of time, unlike its other hawk owl. So, yeah. Where I'm up to. The females are sharper and shorter, and can than the males, and carries further. Females sometimes using heat almost like a cow-like quality to the young for some reason. Haven't heard that call yet, but it's going to be fun to listen to. Well, I haven't found it yet, but apparently it does like a cow-like call to the young. So just imagine that. And in the aggressive call is a dog-like snarl. So used by both female and male near the nest. Barking owls are also notorious for their screaming woman call, which is basically like a woman screaming for help. Don't know why they have this call. They don't know this call, and this is not a normal call for them. So not as common call. So, and usually can be heard from outside of breeding season. So I have no idea why they use this call, how they use this call, or even when they use this call. So keep a lookout. So the barking owl is an agile and aggressive hunter. It's aggressive so many ways that any owl bumped into in Australia probably will attack you. Even the powerful and Rufous owl, those two would definitely attack you, but in breeding and nesting scenes, they're just wild, man. Anyway, they hunt early in the evening and later in the morning than any other Australian owl ever. Period. The barking owl prey is birds, so they love birds. So I'm actually pretty sure they only take birds most of the country. Even as big as the white cockatiel, so and several species of duck for some reason. Don't know why they love duck so much, but it came to be a pattern in the Australian owl community for some reason. Love duck. But in South Australia, their main prey over there is the rabbit, so that's their main prey. But they usually also take small mammals, possums, and rodents and bats also, but they're mainly rabbits. Like other hawk owls, they take insects also. Basically, hawk owls love also insects for some reason. So don't know why they love insects, but that's generally they love insects also. But for this owl, they mainly take insects outside of breeding season, like mainly beetles and crickets. And yeah, they mainly take prey on the ground or when perched. Basically the sit and wait tactic. Beautiful tactic. And sometimes just, yeah. For some reason they also breed at late winter. Mainly in July and September. So in Cape York and in whatever the hell that says, still don't know what that place is, but have to Google it. In Land, yes, maybe a little area, but these seem to be no time difference. So, but sometimes a little area, sometimes, but usually in July to September. Pairs also closer together at the start during the season with a crap ton of corn, and the males appear to be the ones choosing the nest time, but rarely visits after laying, so basically like the other two. The nest is like a large hollow up tree, up to 30 meters, or in the trunk or large limb of a tree. Sometimes nest in deep forks of trees, rock cavities, and rabbit barns. In South Australia, of course, and of course, rabbits just go in and they just dead instantly whenever barking owls basically decide to go into rabbit burrows. So, ah, yeah. And the nesting sites are often used as many years, and they just can just live there for many years. Females often lay two, mainly three, occasionally one. And it's also basically the same egg type shape as both powerful and Rufous owl. Um, its egg shape is a lot more bigger, like 43 to 50 milliliters or millimeters or what the hell, times 3641 milliliters. So yeah, they lay at 2 to 3 days individually and incubate for less than the Rufous owl from approximately 36 days. So again, a shorter incubation than the two behemoths. The owlets first and second downs are white and fronge in about 35 days. So again, a lot more shorter fledging than the two behemoths. And all hawk owls leave the nest while still partly downing. But here's gets the juicy part about the owlets. Fledgling barking owls are the downiest of them all for some reason. Young roosts near and remain with their parents for several months. So yeah, they can just stay with their parents long after they can fly and stuff. So yeah, ideal habits where you can find these lovable owls is open country with a choice of large trees for roosting and nesting. In the southern district, barking owls usually choose creeks and rivers. So with river red gum trees, basically isolated trees and open woodlands. In the northern Australia, they usually prefer paper bark swamps as well, although they generally wear their nests and they may become accustomed to humans nesting too close to farm buildings, even street towns, weirdly. So they basically the lesser aggressive Well, still aggressive, but not as aggressive as the Rufous and Powerfile. So, yeah. Still aggressive, may attack, but not as aggressive as the two behemoths. So, yeah, for some reason. And they prefer water to coast. You can find these owls all across Australia, because mainly on the west coast, no, east or west? No, east, yeah, eastern coast. Sorry, I'm mixed up with western and eastern. Don't quote me on that. And and in the northern territory, and somewhat North Queensland also, far North Queensland also. And you can also find them in Tasmania and large offshore islands. Barking owls are also found in New Guinea and shit, and in the other place that start with M. Google it. So yeah, that's it. Ciao for now. Shit.